Hi guys, so today I am going to talk about my main tips on how to improve your pronunciation and your grammar in French as quickly as possible. So those are my fundamental rules and I think they are incredibly helpful. Donc, commençons! Okay. So in terms for French pronunciation, what I really notice is a lot of people will pronounce the ENT, the ES, the E, and the consonants at the end of a word in French. You have to make sure to ignore those four endings at the end of a word in French. So that's ES, E's, consonants, and ENT at the end of a verb. So if you don't pronounce those at the end of a word in French, your pronunciation is already all the way up there. So make sure to ignore E, ES, ENT at the end of a verb, consonants. So make sure to ignore those at the end of a word. My other pronunciation tips, and it will make people think you're native. When the first word ends with a consonant and the second word starts with a vowel, you want to bring those words together as best as possible. So for example, you've got les arbres, les abricots. So abricot, it starts with the letter A and the previous word ends with a consonant. So you want to bring those two together. And then my next tip, H is the most hated letter in French. We never pronounce it. It's just not there. So even names like Harry, Haribo, haricot, the H will be completely ignored. It's not going to be there anymore. It's just going to be slash, just ignored for this one. My next tip is to see French grammar as teamwork. So if the noun is plural, so is the adjective, so is the determiner. Everything has to be coordinated. So if I say les arbres verts, like the green trees, if the noun has an S, the adjective must have an S and the determiner must have an S. Everything has to be coordinated. If the noun is feminine, so is the adjective, so is the determiner. The one letter that you need to remember that is feminine is the E in French. So if you say la carotte verte, if the word ends up with an E, it's feminine, so the adjective will be feminine and the determiner will be feminine. If it's a girl talking, as girls are extra special, you have to add an E to the adjective. So if I say elle est contente, she is happy, make sure to add an E at the end of the word just so that you can make it feminine. So if the subject is feminine, the adjective is also going to be feminine. Everything is going to be coordinated. And then my next tip is that vowels in French, they can't be facing each other. You can't say le avocat. You have to say l'avocat. So the E and the A, they can't be facing each other. You want to say l'avocat. But my very main tip is that you've got a masculine side and a feminine side. So feminine, you've got loads of words ending up in E. If not, that is just going to be masculine. Très bien. And then if ever you're traveling to France, make sure to know that you have to use vous for strangers and you have to use tu for people you know, like friends and family members. And my very, very last tip, when a word ends up in U, make sure to add an X in the plural. And ALAIL is AUX. I hope this helps. Those are my main tips to quickly go ahead of the game in French. And yeah, I hope this helped. Bye bye.